Good morning. Welcome to the B.F. Anderson Techno Fundamental Report for December the 12th. Consistency is the key to success. I must say, as I've developed my investment strategy, I would say the most important thing that I've learned is the importance of consistency. Because if you don't have consistency, in other words, you're just getting random tips, stock tips, when you have your investment strategy, being consistent means that you can see if it works. Because if you jump around and try different things all the time, you really never know if your existing strategy is working or not. So it's important to be consistent. The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. In other words, with your strategy, you take it a day at a time, you do the best you can. You're still going to make mistakes. You're still going to have problems, but be consistent. Try, and keep on trying is the rule that must be followed to become an expert in anything. So what I've learned over the years is that, you try this, you try different strategies until you finally find one that really makes sense to you. Because if the strategy doesn't make sense to you, you're not going to be consistent and you're not going to stick with it. So find a strategy that makes sense to you and just stick with it. Now, some stocks, we've noticed that the math just doesn't work. They get waterlogged. In other words, we find that there are some companies out there that are they're trillion-dollar companies now. For example, when we first invested in Apple back in 2003, it was a $35 billion company. Well, it's now over $3 trillion. So if the math doesn't work and the stock looks waterlogged, that's just something that you really need to be aware of. Now, let's review our cloud strategy. This is kind of an interesting concept, interesting indicator. So let me review the rules with you here. There are bullish situations and there are bearish situations. But right now, there's no reason to talk about the bearish criteria because we are in a bull cycle. So in other words, the rule is this. You have your first calculation, which is the green line. The question asked is it above price? Yes, it is. Now, is the green, it's above price, and then the price has to be above the red, which it is, and then the blue needs to be above the red, which it is. The price needs to be above the cloud, and the cloud needs to go from red to green, which is currently green. Now, one thing also about this is the stronger the uptrend, the fatter the cloud. So as you start to see the cloud get thinner, it's just telling you that the trend is somewhat softening and weakening. But this continues to be a very powerful uptrend. Now, here's the S&P 500 where we're looking at the power trend. Now, the power trend is in place. And it would only end if this particular 21-day moving average were to cross below the 50-day moving average. But so far, the uptrend is in solid shape, so we're in good shape. Now, unemployment figures came out, the unemployment rate, and you can see for November, we kind of upticked a little bit to 4.2% from 4.1%, but realize the economy looks pretty solid. We're at pretty much full employment. We had inflation numbers yesterday that came in as expected. As a result, interest rates have kind of turned up a little bit here. We're still below zero on the power index, not the power trend, the power index. So interest rates continue to be stable. The primary trend continues to be up. This is the S&P 500 200-day moving average. You can see the trend is up. NASDAQ, the trend is up. In fact, NASDAQ is hitting new highs. And the S&P is basically hitting new highs as well. Price of oil, just kind of keeping an eye on it. You can see here we've gotten down below $70 a barrel. The trend is definitely down, and it's going to be interesting with President Trump's plan to drill more oil. I'm just wondering, what does that mean to the price of oil? And so far, the price of oil is going down. Now, the value line geometric continues to be in an uptrend. This is the most important indicator as far as I'm concerned. Index. You can see here we made the low, we've come up to the top of the box here, stabilized, and then we have now broken out. So this is a very good sign. This market does look very good. Aggression index, new high. We're seeing a lot of activity here in the NASDAQ versus the consumer staples. So in other words, this indicator continues to stay aggressive here. You don't want to, you got to make hay while the sun shines, in other words. Wanted to mention, we were mentioning how stocks get waterlogged. The semiconductors are looking that way. This has been a very hot group last year. So far this year, it's just basically been moving sideways. So the semiconductors are looking kind of slow here because I do think they're somewhat waterlogged. They just got just a little too popular. This is a fund that I wanted to mention. This is the Innovator IBD 50. This is the Investor Business Day 50 fund, mutual fund. And, you can see here how in November it broke out, got into an uptrend, and we've had somewhat of a light pullback here. We're continuing to hold that 21-day moving average, but this is an interesting fund because it mainly is involved with growth stocks, and that's the area we fish in. Last week I mentioned that there's a group of stocks that are looking really interesting, which is anything to do with travel, the cruise lines, the airlines, the online travel services. All these stocks are breaking out here. This is American Airlines. You can see how they came out with earnings, big move up, and it's starting to trend. We're seeing the travel stocks look strong. Here's Alaska Group. You can see the same thing, breakout, and is holding the breakout. So everything's looking pretty good. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much.